Bonjour et bienvenue. Hello and welcome to Straight Through the Channel. Today I would like to do something a little different, an introduction to French literature. I will read out a poem first without giving you background or explanations. We will then try to unveil the meaning of the poem by learning some new vocabulary. Next, we will have a look at the translation before finding out a bit more about the author and the poem's background. I will also provide a slow reading at the end of the video, which you can use to practice your pronunciation. There are a few ways you can use this video for your French learning. An interesting way to listen to it is by closing your eyes and letting the words and sounds guide your imagination. No matter how much you speak of a language, tones, voices and sounds can always evoke something in each of us. It can also train your ear for French sounds and words. The words I will be reading will be displayed on the screen, so if you prefer, you can read while I speak, matching the written and spoken words. Without further ado, I will now read a poem called Le Dormeur du Val by Arthur Rimbaud. C'est un trou de verdure où chante une rivière, accrochant follement aux herbes des haillons d'argent, où le soleil, de la montagne fière, lui. C'est un petit val qui mousse de rayons. Un soldat jeune, bouche ouverte, tête nue, et la nuque baignant dans le frais cresson bleu, dort. Il est étendu dans l'herbe, sous la nue, pâle dans son lit vert où la lumière pleut. Les pieds dans les glaïeuls, il dort. Souriant comme sourirait un enfant malade, il fait un somme. Nature, berce-le chaudement. Il a froid. Les parfums ne font pas frissonner sa narine. Il dort dans le soleil, la main sur sa poitrine, tranquille. Il a 2 trous rouges au côté droit. So, let's now look at vocabulary. I will only highlight vocabulary that I feel will be useful for you. The first category we are going to look into is nature, la nature. The word verdure, which is also used in English, refers to the green color of vegetation. We also use it in French slang to describe vegetables. For example, mange un peu de verdure, eat a bit of greens. Then you have the words rivière, soleil, rayon, as in rayon de soleil, montagne, and finally herbe. For example, un pique-nique dans l'herbe, a picnic in the grass. J'aime marcher pieds nus dans l'herbe. I like to walk barefoot in the grass. Next, we can find quite a few words relating to the human body, le corps humain. La bouche, la tête, la nuque, le pied, la narine, la main, la poitrine. I would also like to highlight a word that appears twice in the poem but means 2 different things. Nu, as an adjective, means naked or bare. As in the previous example, j'aime marcher pieds nus dans l'herbe. But as a noun, nu can mean sky. It is, however, used only in literary context, as we usually use the word ciel for sky. Finally, the poet mentions quite a few colors: argent, bleu, vert, and rouge. So, the poem starts with quite a joyful description of a valley, a lush landscape with a lot of greenery, a river that sings and hangs silver rags on grass, but also a sun from the proud mountain. The second quatrain introduces the sleeper, from the title. It is a young soldier, open-mouthed, bareheaded, and his neck bathing in blue watercress. He sleeps on the grass, pale in his green bed. The first tercet continues the description of the sleeping soldier, who is smiling like a sick child would. The poet asks for nature to cradle the soldier with warmth, as he is called. The final stanza opens our eyes on the actual state of the sleeper. Scents do not make his nostrils shiver. He is sleeping, a hand on his chest, peaceful. The last sentence, he has 2 red holes on his right side, confirms that the lovely valley is the final resting place for this soldier, who will sleep forever. Now, you can find many translations for this text online, but literary translation is a passion of mine, so I try to translate as literally as possible while still keeping the poetic aspect of the text. You are welcome to pause the video if you wish to have a better look at it. Now let's learn a bit more about the background of that text. Born in northeastern France in 1854, Jean-Nicolas Arthur Rimbaud had a hectic life that ended in a hospital in Marseille with an amputated leg and in terrible pain from what could have been bone cancer, although there was no medical certainty at the time. He wrote around 120 poems in about 5 years and is considered to have had a great impact on modern literature, having been an inspiration to many writers, including famous Irish writer Samuel Beckett, but to other artists as well, such as Bob Dylan. Rebellious and wild, Rimbaud, in his early years, lived what was deemed a shocking life, amongst alcohol, drugs, and male companionship. He had a short and tumultuous affair with another famously decadent French poet, Paul Verlaine. A relationship inspired quite a few texts and films. Verlaine was 10 years older than Rimbaud and described as a violent, abusive man. He abandoned wife and child to be with Rimbaud, whom he shot in the wrist in a drunken rage. If Rimbaud could have forgiven his lover for the bullet, he could not accept the reconversion to Catholicism Verlaine went through while in prison. Rimbaud was indeed unable to understand or stand religious conventions, or any convention at all for that matter. Whether Rimbaud's genius stemmed from his recklessness and absinthe and opium consumption, we will never know. But he stopped writing at 20, when he gave up his erratic lifestyle to lead a working man's life. He enrolled in the army, which he deserted after a few months, and travelled a lot while working, mainly through African colonies. Apart from personal letters, he did not write a word after taking this life-changing path. Rimbaud wrote Le Dormeur du Val, aged 16, in 1870, while the Franco-Prussian War was raging. The Battle of Sedan, which sealed Prussia's victory against France that year, took place close to where Rimbaud was living. Although it is doubtful that Rimbaud is describing a scene he actually witnessed in his poem, the war definitely awakened anger and resentment at so many young lives being lost on the battlefield. Despite not being as modern as his later work, The Sleeper in the Vale, also translated as The Sleeper in the Valley, is widely studied in French schools, and usually leaves quite an impression on the reader due to the tragic, unexpected ending. Personally, it is one of my favourite French texts. Don't judge me, I'm just a weird French lady, but I find it beautifully heart-wrenching. And now let's practice our pronunciation. I will go into details for the first stanza and then simply provide a slow reading for the rest of the poem. C'est un trou de verdure. Here you pronounce the T because it's followed by a vowel sound. C'est un. Then the next challenge is the U sound that does not exist in English and that you need to be able to differentiate with the OO sound that you can find in English with double O's, for example in moon. And to make it even more difficult for you, Rimbaud used the words with a couple of R's in. And I know that the pronunciation of the French R is not always easy. So the word is verdure. So if you want to repeat after me this line, c'est un trou de verdure où chante une rivière. Accrochant follement. And here there are two L's, so I really insist on them. Follement, aux herbes des haillons. And if you have watched the video about the pronunciation of H's, you will notice that herbe has a silent H, which is why we pronounce the final X from O as a Z sound. We make what we call a liaison. But haillon has an aspirated H, so we don't make a liaison. Aux herbes, you can hear the liaison. Des haillons, no liaison. So if you want to repeat this line after me, accrochant follement aux herbes des haillons. D'argent où le soleil, and here you have a sound that we rarely find at the end of a word in English, but it's a sound that you would find, for example, in yellow. soleil de la montagne fière. In montagne, we have a sound that does not exist in English, but there is a similar one in English. For example, the one you would find in sing, where you have the N and the G. We just kind of flip it and have the G first, followed by the N. Montagne. So, for that line, d'argent ou le soleil de la montagne fière. Lui. C'est un petit val. We have a liaison here again. Qui mousse. We find our OU sound again followed by a S sound. Mousse. De rayon. And we found our Y sound again. Rayon. So for that line, lui, c'est un petit val qui mousse de rayon. So that's it for the first stanza. I will now read the rest of the poem and I will start on the second quatrain. Un soldat jeune, bouche ouverte, tête nue et la nuque baignant dans le frais cresson bleu, dort. Il est étendu dans l'herbe, sous la nue, pâle dans son lit vert où la lumière pleut. Les pieds dans les glaïeuls, I might repeat that one for you, glaïeuls, il dort. Souriant comme sourirait un enfant malade, il fait un somme. Nature, berce-le chaudement, il a froid. Les parfums ne font pas frissonner sa narine, il dort dans le soleil, la main sur sa poitrine, tranquille. Il a 2 trous rouges au côté droit. Alright, robot voice over. I really enjoyed making that video and I hope you enjoyed learning a bit more about French culture and literature. I hope to see you soon on Straight Through the channel. Merci et à bientôt.